Heartwarming encounter. Billionaire discovers homeless girl inspiring his daughter. The life-changing journey begins. Jack Malone stood at the lofty heights of his downtown Chicago office, gazing out at the sprawling city beneath him. Skyscrapers reached for the clouds, casting long shadows over the streets far below. Yet, despite his staggering wealth, Jack felt an icy emptiness gnawing at his heart. The disconnection with his rebellious daughter, Emma, felt like an impenetrable wall splitting them apart. Every day brought a new round of tension, each argument echoing with unspoken truths. The distance between them had grown wider, and for Jack, it was suffocating. In a moment of desperation, he decided that perhaps giving back could help him reconnect with Emma. So, he walked through the bustling streets to a local soup kitchen, his heart heavy but hopeful. It was there, amid the clang of pots and the rich smell of soup, that he met Lily. Her smile was bright, like sunshine breaking through a storm, even as grime painted her cheeks. The 10-year-old girl exuded a joy that felt contagious, a fierce spirit unmarred by her circumstances. Jack knew she was homeless, yet that didn't dampen her dreams. She spoke with unwavering passion about art, seeing the world through a lens of creativity that escaped the harsh realities around her. As Jack listened to her stories of survival, he felt warmth in his chest. The laughter of Lily curled around him like a comforting hug, and while he dished out soup, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was learning more about life in those moments than in all his business ventures combined. Meanwhile, at home, Emma dismissed Jack's new project at the soup kitchen, convinced he was merely chasing another fleeting self-help phase. But as Jack began to share stories of Lily's resilience, he noticed a shift. Emma's defenses started to crumble, each word he shared chipping away at the wall between them, but life was not straightforward. At a board meeting, Jack faced a clash with associates who were blind to the suffering beyond their own wealth. That confrontation forced him to reckon with the glaring inequalities surrounding them. The pressure weighed on him, a reminder that the success he desired so deeply had come at a cost, one that left him, and Emma, buried in shadows. Standing at this crossroads, Jack felt compelled to redefine success not as mere wealth but as an opportunity for integrity and empathy. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With newfound clarity, Jack sought ways to understand the world Lily lived in and vowed to change the landscape of their disparity. Emma, watching her father evolve, held on to a flickering hope, grappling with her own feelings of neglect and judgment. Surprisingly, as she learned about Lily's artistic dreams, she began to feel admiration for the resilience that both girls shared. This fierce spirit ignited something deep within her. The tension in their home built as Jack prepared for a pivotal decision that could redefine not just his image, but the bond he held with Emma. They stood at a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown while questioning whether they could truly bridge the chasm between their worlds. Would Jack embrace the light of social responsibility, or slip back into the shadows of privilege? As emotional stakes fluctuated, the future of their fractured family remained precarious, waiting for the moment that could either mend or deepen their divide. Would they emerge together, or would the weight of their past misunderstandings tear them further apart? Jack stared at the photographs strewn across the dining table, each one telling a fragment of Lily's story. A vibrant canvas, splattered with paint, peeked through the corner, her rendition of a city skyline. He ran his fingers over the paper, feeling the energy she had poured into every brushstroke. This girl, resilient and full of dreams, had sparked a change within him that felt monumental. He needed to harness that energy, to share it with Emma. The night air was brisk as he stepped out onto the balcony, the city lights twinkling like stars fallen to earth. Jack took a deep breath, the coolness reviving his senses. He thought about his daughter, sitting inside and likely scrolling through her phone, disengaged from everything around her. Yet, deep down, he sensed the curiosity swirling beneath her facade. Did she really not care, or was she simply guarding her heart? The next morning, with determination in his eyes, he invited Emma to join him at the soup kitchen. "It'll be fun," he urged, hoping for even the slightest spark of interest. Emma rolled her eyes, the same dismissive gesture she always gave when he tried to steer her towards anything resembling his newfound mission. "You know I have plans with friends, right? But what if I told you I met someone incredible there?" Jack pressed, searching for an opening. "A girl named Lily. She's your age, and she's an artist. You might actually like her." Emma hesitated, her fingers pausing on her phone. The word artist piqued her interest, a flicker of excitement breaking through the layers of indifference. "Fine, but only if we're back by 2, she finally agreed, crossing her arms as if to shield herself from whatever he was about to pull her into. The ride to the soup kitchen was filled with silence, until Jack noticed her peeking out the window, watching the world pass by. Maybe this was the moment they could revive their connection. Yet, as they entered the bustling space, a whirlwind of emotions washed over him. The sounds of laughter mingled with the clatter of dishes and the aroma of fresh bread. He spotted Lily at a corner table, painting on a sturdy piece of cardboard, her concentration palpable. "Lily!" Jack called out, his voice laced with enthusiasm. She looked up, beaming, as if seeing a long-lost friend. Emma watched with skepticism, arms still crossed, an innate defense against her father's world. "Hi, Mr. Malone." Lily greeted, a painted hand waving in excitement. "Do you want to see my new painting?" "Absolutely," Jack said, and before he knew it, Lily had hopped off her chair, leading them to her makeshift canvas, a riot of colors arranged in a way that seemed to defy the gloom of her situation. "See? Chicago isn't so bad when you look at it like this," Lily said proudly, gesturing around. "There's beauty everywhere if you just know where to look." Emma stepped closer, her curiosity getting the better of her skepticism. "It's really good," she mumbled, glancing sideways at her father. Jack watched the exchange unfold, hope igniting within him. Maybe this was the bridge they needed to overcome their disconnection. As he stood there, he felt the first glimmer of understanding bloom between Emma and Lily. Just as they settled into conversation, a sudden shout shattered the moment. A commotion erupted in the kitchen. Jack's stomach twisted as he turned to see a group of men arguing near the donation table, voices raised, tension palpable. In that instant, Jack realized their journey was just beginning. What would it mean for his relationship with Emma if they had to face not just personal barriers, but those of a system that failed to protect people like Lily? He looked at Emma, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. Would they band together, or would the conflict cast another shadow over their already fragile connection? Uncertainty loomed, and Jack knew the path ahead would challenge everything they thought they understood. As they approached the chaos, his heart raced. What lay ahead would test not just their bond, but the ideals they were beginning to form together. Would they step into those shadows together, or allow fear to pull them apart once again? Jack took a step forward, his instincts kicking in. He needed to diffuse the tension, to protect not only Lily but also Emma from the harsh realities unfolding in front of them. The voices grew louder, and he could see the anger sparking in the eyes of the two men, their frustration spilling over into violent threats. "Stay close to me," he whispered to Emma, who instinctively moved a little closer, though her eyes were still fixed on the scene ahead. It was a whirlwind of shouting, shoving, and chaos. Jack spotted a volunteer rushing over, trying to mediate, but her voice was drowned out, lost in the clamor. "Hey! Everybody, let's take it down a notch," Jack shouted, his voice cutting sharply through the noise. Some heads turned, but the argument continued. Frustration mixed with fear gripped his chest. Yet his gaze fell on Lily, still standing at her table, paintbrush in hand and watching the scene unfold with wide eyes. "Lily, stay back," he called, hoping to draw her attention away from the escalating conflict. She blinked, momentarily startled before taking a step toward him. But I want to help. They need no, honey. This isn't the place for you right now. His heart ached as he saw the determination in her eyes. She wanted to help, to make a difference, just like he did. But this wasn't a situation where painting rainbows could soothe the storm brewing around them. Jack felt a surge of responsibility for Emma as well. This was the world he was trying to show her, but not in this way. He wasn't sure if she was absorbing the moment or being overwhelmed by it. He could see her discomfort, her arms were crossed tighter, her brows furrowed in worry. One of the men stepped forward, pushing against the nearest table, and it tipped over, sending pots and pans crashing. The sound reverberated like thunder, freezing everyone in the room. "Back off, man!" Jack yelled again, stepping forward, a protective instinct bubbling up. He was aware of the risk as he approached the escalating situation, but his fatherly shield had kicked in. Emma Jared beside him. "Dad, don't. It's not worth it. Stay behind me, Emma." The urgency in his voice was undeniable. As Jack moved closer, the anger on the faces of the combatants was palpable. They seemed ready to burst, and he could feel the tension rippling through the air like static electricity. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice rose. "Guys! What are we doing? This isn't what we're here for." It was a fellow volunteer, stepping in with grace and authority. Her tone was steady, yet filled with a reassuring calm that began to diffuse the anger. "We're better than this. We're here to help each other, not to fight." The noise began to die down, but Jack could still see uncertainty flickering on Emma's face. Was she seeing what he was seeing? Could they stand up together? The moment of conflict transformed into a lesson on unity, but only if he could show her the beauty in that. A glimmer of hope flickered within him. With a deep breath, he turned to Emma. "This moment, right here, is where our choices matter. We can choose to be kind, not just to each other, but to everyone." Her gaze shifted from the chaos to him, hesitant yet intrigued. "You really believe that?" "Yes, especially now. If we don't choose to extend compassion, who will?" As the scene began to settle, Jack saw Lily take a step forward, holding her paintbrush like a baton of change. She interjected, "Exactly. We all have our own colors to add, and together we can create something beautiful." Would Emma find the courage to step into that vision and embrace the change he so desperately wanted? Just then, their eyes locked, and for the first time in a long while, Jack could see a flicker of understanding between them. Was this the spark they needed to ignite a deeper connection? But before they could dwell on it, the volume rose again, a new conflict igniting within the crowd, and Jack knew. They weren't out of the woods yet. This was just the beginning of their battle, both in the soup kitchen and within themselves. Would they rise to meet it together, or would it tear them apart? Jack's heart raced as he turned back to the crowd, determination coursing through him. In that moment, despite the chaos around him, he felt a calmness. It was a strange feeling, anchoring him as he faced this storm. He could see the anxiety etched on Emma's face, but also a glimmer of something more: curiosity, perhaps. "Look," he said softly, trying to draw her focus again. "If we don't stand up for each other, who will?" Emma shifted her weight, her expression still troubled. "But what if it doesn't work? What if it makes it worse?" Jack wanted to reassure her, but the uncertainty loomed large. The two men had returned to shouting, their faces red, teetering on the edge of violence again. He could see the tension bubbling up once more, and he felt the ticking clock in his chest reminding him this was urgent. Then he noticed Lily, standing firm with paintbrush still in hand, undeterred by the noise. She raised her voice, slightly trembling but firm. "We can be better. We need to listen." Her courage sparked something in Jack. "Lily's right. We all have a voice," he shouted, and the words echoed through the crowd. His heart pounded, and he felt the weight of the moment shift. One of the men paused, confusion clouding his anger. Jack seized the opportunity. Look at us. We're all here for the same reason, to help, to uplift. Fighting isn't going to solve anything. Those words lingered, hanging in the air. Jack could see the spectators start to nod, unsure but willing to listen. Emma glanced at him, and for a brief moment, he thought he saw pride in her expression. Let us put down the anger. Another volunteer shouted, charging forward to back Jack up. What if we work together? Change the energy in this place? Together. Someone else echoed. It was like a wave surging through the crowd, a collective exhale. Tension began to ease and faces softened. But just as hope began to rise, the other man took a step forward, eyes burning with reluctance. You think you can change it just like that? He scoffed. Yes. Lily shouted, looking up at Jack and Emma as if to remind them they had already stepped into this battle together. We can change anything, if we just try. There was a silence, hanging heavy with potential. Jack moved forward, intent on reaching this man, seeing past the anger. What's causing this? He asked gently. I'm sure we can find common ground. The man hesitated, his fists unclenching. You wouldn't understand, he muttered, his bravado beginning to crack. Try me, Jack replied, heart pounding. We're all in this fight together. Emma's breath caught, and Jack could feel her tension ease as she leaned into the moment. He hoped this was a turning point, not just for the men, but for Emma too. Then suddenly, a sound laughter. A child from the back had pointed at the overturned pots and pans, a giggle slipping out amidst the seriousness. The group turned, faces softening, the tension rippling away like a tide retreating from the shore. Hey! Lily laughed too, and it was contagious. It's like a drum circle. The man blinked, confusion crossing his face as the atmosphere shifted. Jack felt something inside him begin to swell with hope and realization. Maybe, just maybe, this was the moment they'd all been waiting for, but just then, before he could grab hold of that hope, something unexpected caught his attention. A loud crash at the entrance, a new figure rushing in, and Jack's heart dropped. What now? He wondered, bracing for yet another storm. The crowd shifted as Jack's eyes locked onto the newcomer. A tall figure burst through the entrance, the sunlight streaming in, illuminating her silhouette. It took a moment for Jack to process that it was Caroline, his father's assistant. She looked frantic, scanning the crowd and landing on Jack with unmistakable urgency. Jack! She called out, her voice slicing through the tentative peace. The mood changed instantly. Laughter faded, and anxious murmurs rippled through the group. Emma tightened her grip on Jack's arm, her eyes darting between him and Caroline. Jack couldn't shake the sense of foreboding rising in his chest. What could have brought her here, in the middle of everything? Caroline, what's wrong? He stepped forward, unconsciously raising his voice to be heard over the crowd's growing tension. She hurried over, her eyes wide and wild. Your dad he's in trouble. With the project. The words hung in the air, heavy and ominous. Jack's heart sank. This was the last thing he needed. While others were trying to build a bridge, he felt the chasm of his father's expectations threatening to pull him back. What kind of trouble? He asked, though he feared the answer. They're planning to cut funding. The community center, everything we've worked for. They say it's too expensive, Caroline said, desperation edging her voice. Jack felt a rush of emotion, a surge of anger mixed with helplessness. But we were making progress. The renovations were finally bringing life back to this place. His voice cracked slightly, the weight of their collective hope crashing over him. You need to come with me, now. I can't hold them off much longer, Caroline urged, her eyes pleading with him to understand the urgency. Wait. Emma interjected, stepping forward, determination shining in her eyes. We can't let this happen. We're right here, Jack. We're all part of this. We can fight back. Lily nodded vigorously. Yes. This place matters to us. We're not going to let greed destroy our community. The crowd was drawn in again, the energy shifting once more, reignited by the shared sense of purpose. Jack felt torn. His father's reputation versus the very people standing before him, looking to him for hope. It was as if the world collided in that moment. He glanced at Emma, her fiery conviction igniting something within him. "You're right," Jack said finally, jaw clenched, a newfound fire building inside him. "I want to just walk away from this. We'll show them. Together." The others nodded, a ripple of determination running through the sea of faces. Jack turned to Caroline. "They can't just take this from us. We need to rally and make them see what this place means to the community." Her expression softened slightly, admiration flickering in her eyes. "Okay, just let me get you the resources you need. I'll call in every favor I can." As she pulled out her phone, Jack felt the energy in the crowd shift again, his resolve swelling. Fear turned into action. They wouldn't let this moment slip away. They would fight for what mattered, but then he felt his phone buzz in his pocket. As he pulled it out, he saw a message from his father. "Don't think you can defy me, Jack. The stakes are real." A chill ran down his spine. Anxiety mixed with the thrill of rebellion coursed through him. What was he willing to risk for this? He looked up at the crowd, their faces filled with hope. Would he choose the easy path or fight for what was right? Suddenly, the weight of his decision increased, and the air thickened with a new tension. Would this be the moment that defined him? Jack swallowed hard, his gaze darting from the tense crowd to the sharp message flashing on his phone screen. The words seemed to echo in his mind, threatening to pull him back into a world he desperately wanted to escape. He knew to choose his father's side meant crushing the very dreams he and the community had built. But if he stood against him, what would the consequences be? Emma's voice broke through his thoughts, bringing him back to the present. She, too, could sense the looming weight of the moment. "We can't let this happen. Not after everything. We can fight, right?" He met her gaze, grounding himself in the trust reflected in her eyes. "Right. We will fight," he affirmed, though doubt lingered at the edge of his confidence. He felt a mixture of fear and determination swirl within him. Caroline was on her phone, speaking with urgency. Jack could hear snippets of her conversation, words like funding, community, and "don't let them take this away." While she worked to gather support, Jack faced the crowd. They were looking to him for leadership, for direction. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "We need action," Jack called out, his voice rising above the murmurs. "They want to take our community center?" "No. That's not going to happen. We've fought too hard to bring this place back to life. We deserve to be heard." A ripple of agreement moved through the crowd. He could see the flicker of hope in their eyes, a fire kindling. "We'll organize a town hall meeting. We'll gather everyone, their residents, volunteers, the kids who depend on this place. We'll show them how wrong they are." The energy shifted, rallying around his words. People began murmuring in agreement, their spirits lifting as Jack spoke with passion. He could feel their collective heartbeat, a pulsing determination that ignited the fear inside him, transforming it into courage. Jack turned back to Caroline, who was hanging up her call. "We've got to spread the word. Can you help get the message out? Social media, flyers, everything." "Already on it," Caroline said, her face lighting up with the spark of hope. "We can make this big. If we all push together, I can feel it." Suddenly, Lily stepped forward with a bold look on her face. "I can talk to the schools. They have connections. We'll reach everyone." Her voice was unwavering, and her enthusiasm fueled Jack's resolve further. The crowd began buzzing with excitement, ideas circulating like wildfire. Jack felt the warmth of community flooding through him, a feeling he had almost forgotten amid the pressures weighing him down. But just as the momentum peaked, Jack's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a call. He hesitated for a moment before answering, his heart racing. "It's Dad," he whispered to Emma, who immediately tensed. "Jack, is that you?" His father's voice boomed through the speaker, etched with authority. "I heard about your little meeting. I expect you to reconsider your stance. You're not thinking of going against me, are you?" Jack's heart pounded, each word hitting like a heavy punch. "I'm not backing down, Dad. This is bigger than you or me. People's lives are tied to this center." There was a moment of silence, and Jack could almost feel the tension radiating through the phone. "You've made your choice, son. Just remember there are always consequences." Jack hung up with his heart racing. Was he really prepared to face those consequences? The crowd was still buzzing, but his own storm of conflict swirled within him as he stole a glance at Emma, seeking reassurance. Would they stand tall against the powerful forces arrayed against them? A new wave of energy surged, and Jack found the courage he needed deep within. "Let us do this," he shouted, feeling the pulse of unity around him, but beneath that pulse was a question: what would happen when the storm finally broke? Jack stood at the forefront of the crowd, adrenaline coursing through him as anticipation thickened in the air. He could see animated conversations bursting forth, the community brainstorming ways to protect their beloved center. For the first time in ages, hope began to replace the heaviness he had carried for so long. "Let us make a sign-making party," shouted Lily, her voice cutting through the noise. "We can make posters and banners. Everyone should have a say." The crowd erupted into laughter and cheers at her enthusiasm, faces lighting up with ideas as they started to gather supplies from nearby. "Yeah. We could even do a bake sale," someone from the back exclaimed, igniting further ideas. "If we get more people involved, we can raise awareness." A wave of positivity swept through, lifting Jack's spirits. He felt as if he had unleashed a dormant energy within the community, and it felt good. As the shouts and laughter grew louder, the stark contrast of Jack's earlier fears began fading. He could envision the town hall packed with supporters, united as one. But a nagging thought lingered in his mind: could they actually compete against the powerful forces that stood in opposition? "Hey, Jack," Emma called, drawing his attention. She moved closer, her expression awash with excitement. "You need to go viral." She gestured toward Caroline, who was already snapping photos of the crowd. "We can document this. Show how real this fight is." Jack nodded, the suggestion sparking inspiration in him. "Yes. Let us take videos and share our stories. Show the world what this place means to us." He could feel his heart race again, recharged with purpose, but in the back of his mind, the phone call with his father echoed ominously. The consequences still lurked like shadows, waiting to strike when he least expected it. With a renewed sense of community, they worked tirelessly through the day. He painted posters alongside children, wrote slogans with Emma, and watched as the energy grew. The center soon transformed into a vibrant hub of creativity, a true testament to how they could stand together. As dusk began to fall, Jack stepped outside to take a breather. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting warm colors across the sky. He leaned against the center's wall, looking out over the parking lot as families gathered around picnic tables, laughing and sharing food. "Jack?" A familiar voice broke through his thoughts. It was Emma. She approached slowly, hesitantly, and he sensed something important was on her mind. "Everything okay?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. "I just wanted to say." Emma looked down for a moment before meeting his gaze. "I'm proud of you. You're fighting for all of us. I believe in you." Jack felt warmth spread through him at her words. It was the support he needed, a reminder that he wasn't alone in this battle. "Thanks, Emma. It means a lot," he replied, trying to hold back the swell of emotion. But as they exchanged smiles, a loud crash interrupted them. Jack turned to see a group of men in suits stepping out of a sleek car as if they belonged in a different world altogether. An uneasy feeling settled within him. "Who are they?" he breathed, his pulse quickening as they headed straight for the community center. Emma's expression changed, worry flickering in her eyes. "I don't know, but they don't look friendly." The crowd began to notice the newcomers too, the energy shifting from excitement to apprehension. As the men approached, one stepped forward, a confident sneer curling his lips. "Jack, we need to talk." Jack's heart sank. Was this the start of an unyielding confrontation he had feared? The stakes were rising, and he could sense the storm gathering once again. What did they want, and how would it change everything they had just built? Jack felt a knot tighten in his stomach as the man in the suit stepped closer. His grin was all too self-assured, and something about his presence sent shivers down Jack's spine. The mood of the gathering shifted, electric with unease. "Who sent you?" Jack couldn't help but ask, his voice steady even as he felt the tension around him rise. The crowd fell silent, mouths hovering in anticipation. Everyone was waiting for the man's response. "I'm here on behalf of the investors considering the redevelopment of this area," the man replied, his voice smooth and devoid of warmth. "You should know we're already moving forward with plans that won't involve this." He waved dismissively at the community center. Jack felt the breath catch in his throat. Ignoring the uproar of disbelief from the crowd, he stood his ground. "You can't just take this place from us. It means everything to our community." The man leaned in, eyebrows raised. "Oh, I know it does. But just because it's dear to you doesn't mean it has any real value." His tone was condescending, as if he were explaining something to a child. Jack's heart raced, anger surging through his veins. "This is about more than money," Emma spoke up, her voice strong, cutting through the tension. "People find hope here. Connection. You can't put a price on that." The man's smile faltered for the briefest moment, a flicker of surprise crossing his features. But he quickly recovered, leaning back against his car, arms crossed. "Hope doesn't pay the bills, sweetheart. They do. And this place? It's just a roadblock to progress." Around them, anger mingled with disbelief. Jack could feel the support of the crowd behind him. He stepped a little closer to the man, his determination igniting a fire within him. "If you think you can swoop in here and tear apart what we've built, you're mistaken. We'll fight for this. You're underestimating us." The crowd stirred, their voices rising again as they rallied behind Jack. They were no longer meek. They were a united front, filled with conviction. The man straightened up, adjusting his blazer as if he didn't want to let the fervor wash over him. "We'll see how long that lasts," he replied, then turned, signaling to the others. "This isn't over, Jack. We'll be back." As they retreated to their car, the crowd began to murmur, voices swelling with uncertainty. Jack felt a mix of adrenaline and fear. They were indeed in for a fight, but now there was no return to quiet despair. Instead, a wave of empowerment swept through him, urging him to rally the community. Jack turned to face the crowd, inhaling deeply. "We can't let them win. Let us make those posters, let us bake those treats, let us show everyone what we're made of." Cheering erupted once again, voices blending into a harmonious symphony of solidarity. Emma stepped forward, enthusiasm alight in her eyes. "We should organize a town meeting. Let us get everyone involved, show them we're standing firm." "Exactly." Jack agreed, his heart racing with new possibilities. "We'll gather everyone who cares about this place. We'll share our stories. They can't bulldoze our hope because it's alive and breathing." But even as the crowd cheered, he felt the weight of their upcoming battle. The man's words echoed in his mind, reminding him of the looming power he stood against. As the sun dipped below the horizon, he knew this was just the calm before the storm. Jack's resolve strengthened. They had to be ready for whatever came next, because he could sense that the man in the suit wasn't finished with them yet. Jack looked at Emma, determination painted on their faces. "Are you with me?" he asked. She nodded fervently, and he could see the fire in her eyes mirroring his. But as the crowd celebrated around them, a chilling thought struck him. What if this was only the beginning? What more would they have to sacrifice to defend their community? The next day dawned bright and clear. Jack woke early, nervous energy buzzing within him. He loved the quiet before everyone stirred, the world still asleep while he tried to gather his thoughts. He stared at the empty walls of his small apartment and realized how much those walls, like their community center, represented a refuge, a space where memories lived. When the sun climbed higher, he grabbed his phone and sent an urgent text to Emma. "Meeting at the center. Today at 5. We need to plan." One by one, people responded with a playful mixture of enthusiasm and concern. "What do you think will happen?" One text read. "Are we really ready to take them on?" Another asked. Jack sent a quick reply, trying to sound more optimistic than he felt. "We've got to show them we won back down." As the hours slipped away, he prepared. With posters and banners piled high in the corner, he sketched out ideas on a piece of paper, capturing thoughts that bounced around in his mind. He wanted each message to resonate deeply, to be both a shield against the powerful and a lighthouse for the hopeful. By 5, the community center started to fill with familiar faces. Each person brought their stories, their love for the center, and a piece of their hearts. They were the heartbeat of this place. Emma arrived with a tray of homemade cookies. "Just a little something to fuel our efforts," she grinned, placing the tray in the center of the table. Her spirited energy was infectious, and Jack found comfort in her presence. "Thank you for doing this," Jack said, his voice filled with appreciation. "I don't think I'd be this brave without you." As the room settled, he stood up, feeling the weight of their collective gaze. "We're here because this community center means something to all of us," he began, his voice trembling but gaining strength. "Sure, it's a building, but it's so much more. It's a place where kids learn to dream, families come together, and it's a haven when life gets tough." A few heads nodded, and he could see curiosity flickering with inspiration. "I know the man in the suit doesn't see our value, but we can show him. We can organize events, create a festival celebrating our community, making it impossible for him to ignore us." Cheers erupted, voices raised in agreement. "Let us band together, all hands on deck," someone shouted. Fear melted into excitement, and Jack felt a warmth form in the pit of his stomach. Their brainstorming took flight, suggestions flying around like confetti. They talked about food drives, art shows, community dinners, all things they could present to the town, building further connections and drawing people to their cause. Jack couldn't help but smile. It was like the energy had transformed the room into a beacon, something alive and radiant. As they were deep in conversation, the door creaked open. An elderly woman, Mrs. Thompson, shuffled in. Her deep wrinkle-lined face showed signs of sorrow. "I heard about those men, Jack." The room fell silent. Eyes turned toward her, watching closely. "They're serious about demolishing our dreams. But I want to help." A hushed sense of respect filled the air. Jack stepped forward. "You know what this place means to us, don't you?" Mrs. Thompson nodded slowly, tears glistening in her eyes. "My husband and I met here. We raised our kids here. It's our history. If you're in," Jack addressed the crowd, "then we're all in. Together, we can't lose." As they joined hands, a sudden thought crossed Jack's mind. He glanced at each person, suddenly struck by the reality. What if keeping the center wasn't just about the physical space? What if it was about fighting for the very essence of their lives, their shared stories, and the legacies they would leave behind? But just as hope soared in their hearts, a loud crash echoed from outside, shattering the moment. All heads turned in unison, fear igniting in their eyes. "What now?" Emma whispered, a tremor in her voice. Jack's heart raced. They weren't prepared for whatever was coming next, which could threaten everything they were fighting to protect. It was all spiraling into a whirlwind he wasn't ready to face. Was this the beginning of something greater, or the moment they would all fall apart? The crash echoed like thunder, pulling every heart into a collective heartbeat of dread. Jack glanced at Emma, her wide eyes mirroring his own panic. They all turned toward the entrance, anticipation mingling with fear. As the crowd began to murmur with concern, a fire ignited within Jack. He stepped forward, clearing his throat to be heard over the restless wave of voices. "Everyone, stay calm," he urged, gaining courage from the energy buzzing in the room. "Let us find out what's happening." He opened the door cautiously, stepping into the unknown. Outside, a scene of chaos unfolded before him. Men in suits surrounded a construction vehicle, tools held aloft like weapons. They were ready to make a bold statement, eager to show just how serious they were about moving forward with their plans. Jack's heart sank at the sight. This was the threat he feared, the physical manifestation of their struggle. He took a deep breath, fueling his resolve. He had to stand firm for the community, for Emma, for everyone who believed in what they had built together. A voice called out from behind him. It was Caroline, her eyes determined. "Jack, we can't let them intimidate us. We need to stand together." Her words, vibrant with conviction, surged through the crowd. Jack nodded, grateful for her support. "You're right. We've come too far to let them bulldoze our dreams now." His voice rang across the gathering, igniting a spark of bravery within the hearts around him. The crowd surged into action, moving to stand alongside Jack. Families intertwined, friends united, and children gathered, each person a thread woven into the fabric of their community. Jack felt the power of connection like a rush of warmth beneath the cool sky. "Let us show them what we're made of," he shouted, locking eyes with Emma, who projected a fierce determination. Beneath the flickering fear in her gaze, he saw something deeper, a shared sense of purpose that flickered brightly, fueled by hope. As the construction crew ready to act, Jack stepped forward onto the makeshift stage of gravel, voice steady. "This center isn't just brick and mortar, it's a lifeline. It's where mothers laugh and kids find their passions. It's a sanctuary from the storms of life." The workers paused, their attention captured by the gathering energy. A murmur spread among them, a moment of hesitation bloomed. "Listen," Jack pressed, drawing the crowd in closer. "You think you can come here and take away our future, but we won't stand by and watch. We're fighting for our stories, our dreams. Help us. Help make this place thrive." Emma intertwined her fingers with his, grounding him as she joined in. "This is our home. And we're not going to let anyone tear it apart." In that moment, as their words began to resonate, something shifted. Several workers exchanged glances, uncertainty etched on their faces. They hadn't expected such resolve, such unity from a group they thought they could easily dismiss. Then, from the corner of his eye, Jack caught sight of Lily. She stepped forward, clutching her paintbrush, standing as a beacon of possibility. "We need a chance," she shouted, her voice bright and fervent. "This place is the canvas of our lives. You can't just paint over it." Struck by her innocence, a ripple of recognition moved through the workers. They were not just facing a group of people, they were confronting a community filled with vibrant dreams and tenacity. Jack could see their defenses fading as more people joined the chorus of voices. "We won't back down. You can't take our dreams." The crowd's words rose in anthem form, powerful, as if carried on a current that lifted every spirit present. One of the construction workers stepped forward, uncertainty giving way to courage. "Look, we're just doing our jobs, but maybe it's worth hearing you out," he ventured, glancing back at his colleagues. "A town hall," Caroline chimed in, her excitement palpable. "Let us organize it. Bring the investors here, show them what we're all about. Let them see we're standing as one. As they nodded in agreement, Jack felt the unity take root. This was a turning point. The men in suits would see the faces behind the fight, the stories that painted their community's tapestry. They would understand the passion that could not be bullied into submission. The air crackled with possibility. Jack was swept away by laughter and warmth, the lingering tension melting into determination as one by one, people expressed their commitment. Fear transformed into action, and together, they began to organize, creating flyers, building a network, a web of support that would rise above the individuals and unite them into something unstoppable. Together. Jack yelled once more, and each voice echoed his exclamation, melding into a chorus of solidarity. It was a beautiful moment, thin beams of sunset filtering through the gathering clouds, capturing the glow of renewed hope. In the heart of the chaos, as they found themselves surrounded by allies, Jack locked eyes with Emma, and in that gaze, he felt the weight of a shared mission solidify. They had chosen to stand together, forging a bond that would lead them through whatever storms lay ahead, and in that moment, it finally dawned on him this was not just about saving a community center. It was about reclaiming a family, their stories, and their place in a world that sometimes overlooked the power of connection. As hope flickered onward, Jack resolved to keep fighting for the lives intertwined in front of him. Better days were ahead, and together, they would carve out brighter skies, but now as the sun dipped lower, shining one last light to guide them, there was a stirring sense of urgency. This was their moment, the feeling that propelled them to the next chapter in their journey. You need to subscribe now to make sure you don't miss any exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help our community grow. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending, let your voice be heard, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. It's time to show your support.